of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll call the August 18th, 2022 Village Board meeting to order. Roll call shows everyone is in attendance except for the attorney. 4 agenda changes. Are there any? Okay. 5 consent agenda. A, August 4th, 2022 regular board meeting minutes. B, licenses and permits. And C, presentation of accounts and other claims against the village. And there were just a couple of things that I noted to Jane that needed corrections on the motion for County M and Oak. It was 5 ayes and 1 nay. And then there was a word missing under the administrator's report. So she's going to correct those, so then we would need a motion to accept it with the corrections.
I'll make a motion to accept with corrections.
I'll second it.
Roll call.
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carried. 6, pre-registered citizens to be heard, and there are none. 7, committee reports. A, public facilities report. It is in the packet.
Yeah, we had a meeting August 11th, and there's quite a bit that we discussed, so it's in your packet if you want to take the time to read it. Overall, it was a good committee meeting, a lot of good input.
Did anyone have questions? Did you want a minute to read? You're good?
I can always ask questions later.
Okay. We'll go to 8, unfinished business from previous meeting. There is none. 9A, discussion and possible action on bike night motorcycle parking requests for Commercial Club of Hortonville.
This is the same thing that they do every year.
Same thing that's happening now.
Yeah, they didn't remember it, and I brought it up to them, and so we put it on this agenda, so.
Yeah.
We just need a motion.
Do you need a motion for A, and then we're gonna do a motion for B, or is it, no?
Yeah, separate.
Okay.
And it's in his administrative report, right?
Yeah, in the administrator report, I stole Carl's
Yeah.
little blurb.
Nathan has it in red on his report.
I don't really care. Let's see, I make a motion for the bike night parking exception request to approve a special exception to the parking codes to allow motorcycle parking only on Thursday, August 20th, on both, actually Thursday, August 19th, on both the north and south sides of West Main Street between Pine Street and Mill Street from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m.
August 18th.
August 18th, sorry.
My bad.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Hmm?
Motion carried. B, discussion and possible action on handicap parking exception for Commercial Club Harley raffle.
Same thing, one that's usually passed every year.
And the motion is also on Nathan's report.
Okay, I'll make a motion for the handicap parking exception, request to approve the special exception for the parking codes to allow handicap parking only on the west side of Oak Street between Commercial Club Park driveways during the Commercial Club Harley raffle on the event of Saturday, August 20th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. C, discussion and possible action on trick-or-treating event. What?
Trick or treating.
Trick or treat? Trick or treating event?
Yeah?
Yeah, that was the amended agenda.
Then you don't have the
Oh.
amended.
Oh,
Trick or treating. I thought
Yeah.
it says rec director on
We're
mine.
gonna do it early this year.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's about a month early.
September
Um,
1st.
Mine doesn't say trick or treating.
Basically, I've been approached by a few of trick-or-treating parade potentially go into the downtown. The idea was to try to close off the downtown during that event. They were hoping to have it on Saturday though. We'd still have to apply to have the downtown shut down during that time with the DOT. So that's all I know about the event so far. The idea would be, I think they wanna hand out candy, and I don't know what else their plans are at this point. Brett was supposed to come in tonight and discuss that, but
I used to go through downtown, used to line up in front of the Ford garage on Mill Street.
Yep,
for the
that was
parade.
prior to that becoming a state
I
highway.
get that.
Now you can't get it.
No, but I
We
mean,
tried it.
wondering, some communities too will do like a sidewalk sort of thing versus, I mean, if we don't get the DOT thing, could we still?
I think if we can't get the DOT thing, I would probably just wait a year before.
Okay.
Otherwise, you could always do it to Pine Street, and we can shut down Pine. And you could do it on Pine Street.
So then basically you don't have any details what they wanna do?
I think at first, one of them said they wanted to hand out candy. I think, my guess would be some of the bar owners would probably want to serve alcohol as well. But we could always block off that Pine Street and the back alley of the Main Street. Doesn't come up.
And start there,
No,
or
and
end there.
the idea would be, we could potentially have it start here. They could come through, either, we could have them go through the building and we could decorate the inside of the building. And then they could leave right away and then start the parade down to that area. It'd be a little different than we've done in the past, but I wish I had more information from them. At this point, the issue is we have very limited times coming before the end of October, and it's
Yeah.
trying to plan it.
And based on a future agenda item here, we may not have a meeting early part of September, but we wouldn't be meeting again until the third week of September. So do you
No.
need something
Yeah.
tonight that we,
Second
or
weekend of
The
December.
8th.
do you need,
Yes,
do you need something tonight though to help you initiate the process if that's what they're looking for?
I guess if it's something that you guys would be in support of, potentially of shutting down the road for an event, I guess, is the way that I would. Otherwise, if you
How long of a
guys feel
period?
like you don't have enough information, we can always push it, and then we could always throw it at the end of the 8th meeting if we need to.
My only concern is that a detour sometimes makes people unfamiliar with their surroundings where they're driving. And would that be a safety hazard for the trick-or-treaters? You know,
Right.
that's my fear, and especially Mill Street in Maine can kind of be a really difficult intersection
especially
to
because we
pull
have a
up.
lot of people that come into town to trick or treat. A lot of people
Yes.
from out of town come to Hortonville to trick or treat.
I'm just worried that about that disorientation, like if you're not used to driving through the village, like in the residential area, that detour could actually create a safety hazard, but.
Right, I mean, we could always, if you guys don't feel comfortable with Main Street, like I said, we could always propose to them about Pine and the alleyway.
So one block
Well,
of Pine? Is that what you're saying?
yeah,
Or-
yeah, to like basically where the one-way go, like by the, in front of the post office, probably have it.
You can go all the way to Barris
Well,
easily enough.
potentially,
If
yeah.
you're looking
I
at
mean,
that, realistically, shut that down, whatever.
well, then you're
That's
shutting down
school
people's
and-
access to their house. So, I mean, you could do it past, you could do it at the edge of the post office, where the post office property begins.
Or 2 days would be all right.
Ends, sorry, on Pine.
What's the timeline for submitting a request for?
It depends. I've submitted 40 permits and sometimes they get back to you in a day or two. Sometimes it takes almost a month,
Yeah.
depending upon how busy they are and they take in consideration of what the event is and everything.
Right.
So,
I would.
So are they talking shutting down Main Street or just taking the parade down Main Street?
Shutting down Main Street was the initial thought.
and I guess the
Really?
question would be is to the DOT is for how long? I mean, we're looking at the
Hours.
proposed for the homecoming, we're looking at maybe shutting it down by the time it's all said and done, maybe 20 minutes.
Right.
So, and I
It
don't
would
think
probably
that
be
that's gonna be a
throughout
problem with them.
it'd probably be for, my guess is
I think
if
it's
it's
longer
what
than
they're, if they're planning on doing anything other than handing out candy, you're probably saying that it's gonna be all night. Otherwise, if it's just handing out candy, it would be for probably 3 hours, I think is usually what we do for our
Yeah,
two.
and,
It's
and
for
from
a
my
short period
experience,
like that.
yeah, from my
Usually it's
experience,
3 to
even when
5.
trick or treating's over with at 7 o'clock, this village was a zoo to try to get in and out of.
No, I know. I don't care either way, I just.
Can we,
bring it-
yeah.
I think we need to have him
Yeah.
present something at the next, the
Mhm.
8th
I would push it
meeting.
out till the 8th and have them,
Yeah,
More details.
have somebody come in if they.
And let him know
have
that we need to
ideas.
have like a distinct
Right.
idea of what his plan is, because,
Well, it's
and
him
options.
and Jen Hone, they were both kind of talking about it. and both
Just
talked-
have a presentation, something
Yeah.
that we can, for options or.
Right. Sounds good.
good. Okay, we'll move to D, discussion and possible action on recreation director position and hiring process.
As you know, the rec director resigned, so I think last time we had a subcommittee or an ad hoc committee meet, to do the interviews. If you guys want to do that again, if you wanna hire for the exact same position, similar to that, the same type of position that we had in the past, which is just those 6 weeks. And then trying to figure out, you know, if we wanna keep the pay similar or if we wanna increase the pay more. Those are kind of the questions. I mean,
I was on that ad hoc committee and I thought it actually, the interview process went well. I thought it was nice. You know, I thought it was, you know, a round table kind of interview process, but,
do we really need to do that? Can't they?
absolutely, it was that they were asking for help
Oh.
doing it at the time, because Mike Summers was retiring. I don't care if I'm part of the process or not, I'm just saying that that process was
Right.
something that worked out well. But do we need to look at that position money-wise prior to posting the position to
Right.
see, you know,
well, and, you know,
But what do you wanna see out of the position too?
so,
That's-
I mean, we've kind of been brainstorming on different ideas, to try to get some activities rolling in the village for certain things. And potentially having that person plan like an event or two also, and then paying a little more part of their position outside of that 6-week window, have them plan some type of event, whether it's a tournament of some kind that brings in people to the village. That was some of the thinking going around, but, I mean, it wasn't like fully fleshed
Yeah.
out at.
if I remember right, a lot of the applicants that we had were people in education, weren't they? People that were
Well,
teachers, you know?
We
so they
we
were looking
wanted,
for
so
some-
initially when we posted to the school district, because we wanted someone that had that background, rather than
Okay.
someone off the street who may not have that background.
Okay.
So,
Would that be an appropriate discussion to have with that committee, and then somebody?
I would think the board would come up with that decision if they want to, if they're fine with us starting the post. If we want to do it the same way.
I mean, with your ideas of planning more than just a summer rec program, I just wondered if that was something you'd want to.
I would think, again, that would probably have to be discussed at the board level to figure
Okay.
out, and that's kind of what tonight is, to see if, you know.
Okay.
Otherwise, there's other ways that we could potentially have that done for those type of events if we wanted to. I mean, you could have staff potentially, if they feel like they want, if they're interested in something, potentially present something to us to kind of start, and then we can decide that way if, you know, let's say we're gonna do some type of monthly event or weekly event or something for an hour or two, or whatever they wanna do, or something that is a one-time thing for planning for. We could get the amount of hours that way and then figure out if that's something the board would want or accept those people doing. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a rec director doing that, but we could always, if you wanna keep the rec director the exact same way we've had it, which is fine, we can always look at other ways to do other stuff too. So,
You know, that's kind of going into the library section then, because Ally does do a lot through the library. for kids, brings people in, but have you heard complaints that people don't like our rec departments
No.
No,
it's
as
a-
it
it's
is,
to
or you
enhance-
just want to
it's-
add to it?
It's adding outside of it. So rather than within that 6-week period that's all for kids, I'm talking about planning actual events,
Kickball
whether.
tournament or
Right.
something like that.
Something like that brings people into the village outside of what we normally do, because it's hard to get, we don't have as many clubs here that are willing to start these tournaments.
You know,
And
like
the idea is-
intramurals or whatever, we
Right.
just have.
So whether if you do like a weekend kickball tournament at Otto Miller and working with HYS as a fundraiser to do it that way, I mean, we did just have the fire department do their fundraiser there that went, I believe, well, it seemed like they got a lot of attendance.
No different than when I called for kayak information. I ended up calling a lot of those municipalities, I had to call the park and rec department. You know, as a park and rec person, so it was like a park and rec,
Right.
you know, and considering the
I've
amenities
heard
we're adding
nothing
to our
but good
parks.
things about a rec program, actually, from a few different, I had a few different calls from citizens who are very happy with the last year, so. The idea was potentially just to try to jumpstart some of the other areas that aren't necessarily kid-oriented, maybe it's young adults or just adults in general, to bring some people in,
We've had,
but.
I sent somebody your way, a citizen that contacted me that wanted to be part, you know, wanted to be part of helping with parks and stuff. I don't know, I mean, I kinda like the idea of park and rec sort of thing, it's not just the 6 weeks, but
Right.
we have to look at.
I mean, otherwise, we can always just hire like we normally do.
Well, we could-
And we can look at other, we can still do that other stuff, and we can look at how we wanna do it or implement it elsewhere. Doesn't necessarily have to be tied to this position at all, so.
Or maybe this person just, you know, wants to do it just on the side of, you know what I
Right.
mean, like, just shows interest in
Right,
doing more.
right, and we don't know, you know, the person we hire on, they might want that, they might not, but if they don't, we can always look at other ways of doing extra stuff too.
I had a parent ask me why we don't partner with the Fox West Y for our Hortonville rec.
Cause they charge.
I know,
massive amount.
but their thought behind it was then it would be like a wraparound, so kids that, it would be like an all-day thing, you know, that some kid, that could bus them to the Y, I mean, because they've got a different program there too, so I mean, I don't know, I'm just brainstorming, but
Right,
it was,
and-
a question brought to my attention, I went, I don't know, I mean,
Well, the Y had to cancel their program last year, because they
Really?
can't find people,
Okay.
but we, for some reason, are able to find kids all the time.
Okay.
And part of that was from,
Because we're cheap.
well, right, well, they were talking about, they couldn't find, like, leaders or, you know, volunteers, like, we pay probably less than what the Y pays their employees, but it's a different, you know, it's local kids here that like the rec program, so.
They grew up in the rec program.
Right, and so that's usually what happens is they get too old and then they wanna be a counselor. So that works great for us. I wanna continue it, it's not, I don't, I think it's a huge benefit to the community. It was just something else that we were thinking of, but I'm fine with posting as is, I think.
I think if you get the right candidate into that position, they would want to do it anyway, so you may just spark
Right.
interest anyway with that person and be like, what else can I do?
So I
what is
think
it-
pay range right now is currently, I think he was hired at 6,000. So, and I think when Mike left, he was at 8,000 something. So,
8 weeks
it's 6 weeks.
or 6 weeks? I'm sorry.
But then there's a substantial amount of planning
Pre-planning.
prior, yeah, so I think when we were looking at it, it was in,
I can easily give it 2 weeks to plan.
So do you want to post it at 7?
well, I was gonna post a range, so, I mean, we could do 7 to 9, and then you guys could figure it out, you know, based on experience, and I don't know what the market's at right now when it comes to a part-time,
specifically.
6-week program like that. I mean, most comps I get for park and rec directors are full-time or part-time, and that's year-round, so,
So you're talking about a 6-week program, correct?
correct.
But there's pre-planning and post.
There's pre-plan training, which takes a while. Then there's actually the sign-up time where you have parents constantly calling and asking questions about it, which is usually done by the park director, not necessarily office staff anymore.
Well, that equates to about
I had 2 weeks.
$1,000 a week, roughly.
Right.
So, you know, I have no problem posting a range from, let's say, 6,500 to 8,500.
Yeah, considering really they do start a couple weeks before the program, I mean, really they do. I mean, there's a lot of legwork that's done ahead
Even
of time.
before that.
And
Even
even
before
after,
that, I was gonna say even before.
even
that.
after with the
Yeah.
cleanup
The cleanup,
and
yeah,
everything.
Yeah, there's like a week of cleanup too.
Yeah.
Postmortem.
Yep.
And
they're-
I was talking
Supposed
10
to
weeks.
work 'em.
That's what they do, like after.
Sorry.
I was
an event,
talking
call it
10
postmortem.
weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, really?
And they're supervising,
when
so
we
we
were
call it a work.
estimating what he was actually making, we estimated him as an extra month in total
Good.
onto what he did. So we did, you know, we did 10 weeks is kind of what we estimated, and it
Yeah.
ended up becoming around $15 an hour. So, but
And supervising how many staff too.
And kids.
Right.
Less
Right.
kids.
so.
So do you need a motion on that?
Yeah, and then if you guys want me to post, the same, like as we did last time, and then if we want, do we wanna post it to the school district first for 2 weeks? And see if anyone from the school district wants it prior?
I don't know why not. Be nice to have someone local. Or that
Right.
knows some of the kids.
That's kind of the thought I had, is the more we can get someone from the school, they can they have a nice little, petri dish to pull workers from.
Well, they've had a restructure with their HR department.
Yep.
So, yeah, so Tom Ellenbecker is,
Yep.
yeah. So I mean, they actually have people designated specifically just to do HR now. So
I'll make a motion to post the position for the recreation director with the payment range of $6,500 to $8,500.
Same hiring process as before.
Same, well, do we need an ad hoc committee? I mean, you know,
ask them, I mean, I don't
I
care
I'd
either way.
suggest you just go ahead and do it. Do the research and do the interviews and make the hiring.
I don't have a problem with
Okay.
it, but.
Anything else?
Is that good enough for a motion?
Is
Jane?
there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. E, discussion and possible action on recommendations from the Public Facilities Committee to approve the HYS bathroom renovations.
This one is no expense to the village. It's just HYS is doing these bathroom updates. So we just wanted to put them in front of you guys to get the approval. So.
Any questions? Otherwise, we need a motion to approve HYS to go ahead with this.
I'll make a motion to approve the bathroom renovations proposed by Hortonville Youth Sports.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. F, discussion and possible action on Hortonville High School homecoming parade.
I'll take this one. I was asked by Sergeant Barr, who was asked by Tim from the school, if it would be possible this year to do the homecoming parade down Main Street. Basically saying that it's gonna be on September 30th, that's a Friday. Floats will probably line up between 3:30 and 4 o'clock. They will start and end at the high school. The parade will be between 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock. I'm assuming depending upon how many floats that they have. If they only have 6 floats, it could be over with in a matter of a short time. But what they're doing is they're looking at going from the school down Cedar, crossing Nash to Mill Street, taking Mill to Main Street to back to Nash and back around. And I see that, you know, if it's gonna be between 4 and gonna be roughly probably about 4:20 by the time it gets to Main Street. We could probably have Main Street cleared within 10 minutes. So by 4:30, have Main Street cleared. We would do the detour. We would have, for that, roughly that few minutes that the traffic, that the parade is on actually Main Street, we would just stop the traffic for, briefly for them few minutes until the floats get off from Mill Street to Nash Street, and then reopen it, but otherwise we would put the detour down South Nash to Nye to Industrial Park.
I've actually had business owners ask why we don't do that downtown
I think it's
anymore.
feasible, I think that we can do it,
Yeah.
I think that if we explain to the state that it's just gonna be brief,
I did have a conversation with Tim. And I asked him how the school felt about us having the downtown street, all of them decorating and bringing some spirit and fun back into this village. Because I said, people didn't even know last year there was a homecoming. Because some of the people came and complained to me from the football team and said, hey, you know, we have this homecoming, nobody even knows. The owners of the businesses said, if we knew, we'd decorate. You know, so they said they would send out letters to all the businesses and have the businesses decorate however they want to decorate for the homecoming. So that would be really awesome if we're gonna take this down Main Street. So,
I think it's doable, I think we can talk the state into it.
Rodney's like very liberal right now on that kind of stuff, so.
So what is the
He's-
detour?
So the detour would be at 15 by the BP. We would detour around
They don't
down
care.
South Nash to Nye to the industrial park and back out.
Okay.
But then instead of sending everybody around as the parade comes off of Mill Street by Stroh's, then at that point we'll just kind of hold them, we'll make sure that they pack together on Mill Street so that they're not spread out so far and that they keep a nice packed move down Main Street. And then they'll go right back up Nash Street,
Okay.
back to the school.
Makes sense.
So you'd stop the traffic on Main Street for a period of
10 minutes.
10 minutes?
Yeah, if that.
Do you really need a permit for that?
Yeah, you do.
Anytime that you
Well-
stop.
Absolutely, they will.
I didn't know.
They'll come in
Oh,
and, yeah.
Either that or stage an accident.
Good idea.
You
Conveniently
still,
stage
you
an
still have to
accident.
report that to the state, so
Yeah.
anytime you close a road down, even for an accident, you have to report it.
Oh, okay.
do you need one from the county too, though?
Permit, no.
You don't?
State.
Okay.
So when it becomes double J, we can close it down anytime we want for short periods.
With county's permission.
We're gonna have to go through the process.
When it becomes double J.
Okay, so you do need permission from the county.
Not now.
Yeah,
not
because
now,
we
but-
go down County M.
Yeah, I don't know that you
And-
need permission for, through the county.
Yes or no? Oh.
No?
Not at this time.
Well,
Not for
I
that.
think he's talking about the future, but.
Yeah.
Future, that may change a little bit, yeah. But we know.
When
when
they
we
have
have
Dash
Nash-
Down Nash, they have to have a permit.
Yeah.
Right.
So
That's a
why is
longer
that different
period
than
though,
the
isn't it?
school, having a parade on County M?
Is that a longer period?
And county, the school.
Maybe it has to do with
Yeah.
the duration of
Yeah,
time.
I think it's just,
a
you
little
go
bit-
by the duration.
Okay,
We're
Just
still
gonna- I'm
gonna
just
get
gonna
it
leave it at
okayed
that.
by the county.
I would get it okayed by the county
For what?
to go on County Road M. Nash Street is M,
Yeah,
yeah,
they're only gonna be on it for one block.
but then you said you're going from
But they're not
Main
shutting you
up
down.
Nash.
No, we're not
Didn't
shutting it
you?
down.
But they're not
just
shutting
coming
it
up
down
behind
then.
them. Yeah.
Okay,
They're crossing.
all
they're
right,
shutting it down.
just to be sure,
Yeah,
that I'm
that's-
doing it all
that's-
legal.
No,
Straight.
this'll be fine. Dash Down Nash is different, we're shutting it down for 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
That's a.
That's a totally different,
Correct.
okay,
yeah.
I didn't know what their, if
No,
it
when
was a
you're shutting,
limit.
yeah, when you're shutting them down for 2.5 hours, you have to get permission.
Okay,
When you're shutting it down for a matter of 10 minutes from, because you're running from Highway 15, because then they're gonna go right back on to Cedar, back to the school. So
Okay,
that's gonna be a 10-minute deal.
okay. So you don't need a motion for anything, do you?
I'm I'm looking for your approval to move forward with the state for a parade permit.
You only need a head nod for that.
Head nod?
Right.
Is everyone
I think we should get
okay?
an action, because she's gotta get approval from the state.
Yeah, but wouldn't we approve that once she gets it?
No.
I'll make a motion
okay.
to, I'll make a motion to, allow the Hortonville High School homecoming parade to go down Main Street with state approval.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. G, discussion and possible action on ATV, UTV bond amounts.
I'll take this one too. So I met with the judge. The judge, said that the bond amounts are the same bond amounts in the back of the book. So basically, this sheet that I sent out to all of you is, the bond amounts that we're looking to be able to write NTC, which are municipal citations versus state citations. If the police department writes a state citation, the money gets divvied up 5 different ways, and the village gets just a small portion of it. But because we have an ordinance for this, we can write municipal citations, and that whole 124, whatever you see in that column, then the village gets that amount of money. So it's in the best interest for the village to adopt the bond amounts for 23.33 as municipal ordinances, so that we can write them and keep the money in the village. So I haven't changed any of the bond amounts. They're the bond amounts that are in the back of the book. It's just determining whether we're gonna send money to a different branch of courts or whatever, or just keep it all in our village.
How often do these change?
Depending on when the state decides to change them.
Cause that's my thought, with an like we create an ordinance and it kinda like puts us at a certain price, and like 5 years down the road, the state's increased it 3 times.
No, we can change as they want,
As
as
they
we want to. So if they change, we can change them.
Can we create an ordinance that just references the state, dollar amounts, or do we have to have a specific dollar amount in the ordinance?
We're just adopting the state statute.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
just.
we're
Yeah,
just
we're just
adopting-
adopting the state
Oh,
statute,
that's
so
what this is.
whenever their
They
price
adjust their
change,
rates, we,
Yeah.
our rates
Adjust
adjust
our
automatically,
rates.
okay. I just wanna make sure we weren't
Yep.
locking ourselves into this.
No, you're not. No, this is just basically, it's allowing, I mean, because we have some of those ordinances that you're seeing, in here are more strict than what the state has. For example, we don't allow 16-year-olds, we don't allow anybody under the age of 16. So the state allows 12 to 15-year-olds to operate ATV, UTVs, as long as you have an adult and you have a safety certificate and they have to have a helmet on. So ours states that they have to be 16 years of age. So we have to have an ordinance for that, because we can't enforce it if we don't have an ordinance for it. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
The other one is, what was the one right off the top of my head? I think it's that one. I think that's might be the only one. Yeah, I think so.
For putting
So-
this wording in there, we should make sure passengers is spelled right. It's spelled wrong like every time it's on here.
And it's,
Yeah.
there's a couple of repeats, or is there a reason for that?
There's subsection.
That's aimed
Okay,
So like if you look at the,
see that.
if passenger under the age of 16, the first one, it's because it's out of that, while they're intoxicated, it's the first offense. If you're in the middle,
but it doesn't
Underneath.
really express that.
It references the
sub-
statute
it
number.
references the statute above.
Okay,
It's,
So we're gonna carry forward the safety certificate stuff?
Have to, it's state
Yeah.
mandated,
Okay,
yeah.
so then,
so I'm just asking, it's
New London
confusing if
sent
you say
me-
we have to be over 16, but then you have to have a safety certificate.
I'm sorry, what?
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, it's confusing if you say that we have to, so, because we didn't pass anything in our ordinance, we didn't say anything about having to have a safety certificate.
But it's state law.
State law,
Right.
okay.
If you operate a snowmobile, you have to have a safety certificate. So it's the same thing with an ATV.
If you're under the age of,
1989.
Well, there's a
1989.
grandfather
Right.
date to it.
Yeah, I believe it's 1989.
yeah,
It's the date.
Okay.
so like me,
Yeah.
I have to get trained.
I wasn't aware that it's a
They teach you the
grandfather
hand
for AT,
signals.
because they're newer, so.
Right.
But the same grandfather date applies for snowmobiles and UTVs and ATVs?
Right.
Okay.
So then, I asked New London for theirs. They don't have an ordinance? What did they follow?
For what?
For their ATV, UTV, it says ordinance. And all of their fines average 130, or the second offense is 262, I believe.
I don't know. They
It
have a
just
different-
seemed confusing when
they
I
have-
read this and then I read theirs.
Right, it might be a different bond. See, I don't have a bond book on me, so when you look at at the bond, it'll say $50, okay, so the bond amount is $50. Then you have to flip to the back of the book, and when you go to the back of the book, and depending upon what court amount that we follow, they may follow a different court amount, dollar amount than we do. Ours is $38, so then you take the $50 plus the $38, plus a court fee of $10, plus another court jail fee of $12.50, blah, 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 it all comes together. But they're usually operating out of the Wapaka County Court, so it might be a different dollar amount.
Okay.
Hmm.
But it just seemed like theirs was so much simpler than this to determine what, was what. Do you want to just take a look at it? It's, because I wasn't sure what all that meant either, but it just,
Yeah. That's what happened to Tony though.
Wapaka
They're
County
different.
ordinance is way different than
Referencing
our
state
county
statute.
ordinance, so.
They're
It's
really
much
different.
simpler.
yeah, ours are a lot higher.
Yeah, this is exactly what we have. They
Okay.
just, so they're looking at, they could have a dollar amount in the first column, which would be $50. So operating a UTV, ATV in prohibited areas. I think that's what we have is number, oh, it's gonna be right down, ATV, a private property with another without consent. I think it's like 6 or 7 down, okay? So ours is
187.
187, theirs is $180.70. They have, this is really confusing. This one,
Yeah.
this is, to me, is very confusing because the DEP, the deposit, plus the PAA, which is gonna be a dollar amount that they're giving to the court, plus $23 is court cost, plus CC is another charge, comes out to $80.70. So they have it all broke down, I just have,
You
this is
just
what
had
it
the
is.
total.
Yeah.
Yep,
This is
this is
what,
what,
this is what
All
it
right.
is. The only difference is that when you have juveniles between the ages of 15 to 16 that violate, or I think it's 14 and 15, it's written on my hard copy, they don't get charged a lot of these other things that are in here, so they're subtracted from those, and the officers know that. So somebody who's 14 to 15 years old would get a lesser charge for not wearing a helmet than somebody who's 16 or 17 years old and not wearing a helmet. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
So you need a motion.
yeah.
I will make a motion that we adopt the state statute 23.33 and village ordinance 40-12. Is that correct? That's our ordinance? That's our ordinance?
40-12, yes.
Thank you. Outlining the fees associated with misuse and violations of our ordinance that relate to the ATV, UTV usage.
Second.
Roll call, Peter?
Yeah, sure.
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carried.
Did you get all that, Jane?
I'm gonna listen to the tape.
Sure without 5 words.
H,
Yeah, check the
discussion.
tape later.
Yeah.
H is discussion and action on Miller Park payments number 3.
And in your packet, you should have payment number 3 for Miller Park in the amount of $34,685.55. Looking for approval of this.
Is the other issue resolved, or the water drainage issues resolved?
Yes, kinda. We're not quite there yet, but close, yes.
We have additional payments yet.
We will probably have additional, this is not the final,
Okay.
so there'll probably be one more payment.
Sure.
Lights are in, everything's in, it's just, that one, issue that we have going on, that's not in yet, that hasn't been taken care of, so.
Before we go to the final, we're gonna have that final resolution for that
Mhm.
issue, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the payment of $34,685.55 to McMahon for the Miller Park reconstruction payment.
It's issued to NCC.
Issued to NCC, sorry.
I'll second.
Roll call, Peter?
Aye.
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 Motion carried. I, discussion and possible action regarding September 1st board meeting cancellation.
So the idea would be to cancel that board meeting. It's actually the day of the Lions Club sportsman dinner, which I am a member of, so I have to work it. And plus, with the 8th having a meeting, the 15th is a meeting, and we will be having a meeting on the 22nd as well.
I'll make a motion to cancel September 1st board meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it is canceled.
Okay.
J, any other miscellaneous topics for future discussion?
Assessments.
There is none. We'll go to 10, report of village officials. Jane, clerk treasurer.
My report was in the packet.
Any questions for Jane?
How did Badger books go? Did you feel?
I think they went very well. We heard no complaints. It was wonderful cleanup the next day. Fabulous. We love it.
Good.
Yeah,
How much time did you save from the end recording?
hours, days. Yes. And it's wonderful when people register to vote. You can just scan their driver's license and it pre-populates. There's no guessing what their name is, or their middle name, or if they wrote their birth date, or you couldn't read it. It's wonderful. Less errors,
Good.
potential errors.
Any other questions? If not, we'll go to B, director of public works.
Nothing for you this week.
Okay. Then we'll go to C, police chief, Chris.
My report is also in the packet.
Any questions for Chris? Okay, we'll go to D, library director, Ally.
Just a couple things. We wrapped up our library programming on Friday, and we had our end of summer party on Saturday. 881 people registered for the program this year. In comparison, our highest number to date was 2019 at 998. So it's relatively comparable to our most recent pre-pandemic numbers. So we're pretty excited about that. Next year, we are planning a lot more and offering a lot more programs for, teens and adults in addition to the kids. Trying to focus on everyone as opposed to just children. We are planning on doing a Food for Fines drive from mid-October to mid-November, to benefit a local food pantry right before Thanksgiving. And then it also helps people whose accounts may be blocked because they have overdues to bring non-perishable food items in to waive some of those fines as well. It's a win-win situation. We'll have a box for quotes for kids again. That'll start end of September and go to end of October. And we are working on the 2023 budget pretty closely.
Any questions for Ally? Okay, we'll go to E, attorney, and they are out tonight. F, administrator, Nathan?
We had our P and Z meeting and JRB meeting for the TID 6 proposal. And I presented at the county finance committee. The finance committee didn't have any issues with the proposal, which I believe was a first because we had park stuff in it. They do have a full new board for their finance committee too. So we will have another P&Z to have to push out our dates a little more because of an error. So we're gonna fix that and have another public hearing. And then we will be bringing it to the village board on the 22nd for a special board meeting if we can get a quorum. Other than that, we will be getting about $32,000 for the property to O'Reilly's at the end of the month here. And I don't think that was necessarily budgeted for in this last one, so that's a nice little bonus. And then we did have some bad news that we got a large increase in our ambulance subsidy as well. So for next year, so that went up 30%.
Seems that happens every year.
Yeah, they went up about $5 per capita in 2020, which was for COVID, and then last year they dropped it back down to $10.95, and now they're raising it back up to $12.84 per capita.
So what do we pay annually at this point?
Next year, well, this year we paid $32,000. Next year we're going to be paying $42,000.
Is that a subsidy that could, I mean, we have to pay that, or is that something that could be a line item on taxes?
It is a line item.
It is a line, I thought so.
On
So,
taxes.
but it's what we have to pay?
Right.
Okay.
I mean, right. It's yeah.
So are you saying that's 100% collectible?
Yeah.
Or is it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we collect it from the taxpayers and then
Alright.
give it to them. It's
That's
just,
what I was
they
clarifying.
control it, it counts against our levy too, so.
So we're not
Questions?
using any of our funds to offset any of that total? It's all collected by tax?
Right.
Okay.
Okay, we'll move to G, building permit report. There is none. 11, communications and miscellaneous business. A, Black Otter Lake District News.
Just a reminder that the annual meeting is Monday night at 6 at Alonzo. Most of you should have gotten a letter in the mail and hopefully saw stuff online too. Free food, 6 o'clock,
Any questions
Where
for
is it?
Pat?
Alonzo.
Alonzo.
What are you having?
Steak.
What are you bringing? And with sending out letters, how in the
Well,
world
My
are you
dad
planning?
used to call them tube steaks.
Okay, the reason I say, I ask is because I have about 75 brats left from our cookout. They're in the freezer. Can you use them?
Oh boy, how many hot dogs do
I
we
have
get?
to eat I have to buy the leftover
What,
hot dogs, so I
whatever
appreciate
is
it.
left over, whatever's left over, Nathan's
Yeah.
fine.
But that's the hot dog.
I think
Yeah,
they're-
but if they don't eat the hot dogs, I'm stuck with 150.
Yeah, you're
At your
right.
house.
okay.
Yeah,
Wiener King.
Okay.
Oh,
It's
boy.
like selling you guys.
Moving on.
moving on. B, Hortonville, Hortonia Fire District News. Jim? Nothing? C, Gold Cross Ambulance Run Reports and News. It is in the packet. D, Hortonville
No.
Civic Association. Peter has nothing.
Nothing, I have nothing to report.
And
Thank you.
E, Senior Activities Committee.
Just getting information out on our Senior Autumn Fest, which is October 11th. So those flyers and sponsor letters, different things like that are going out now.
Okay. 12 is comments and suggestions from citizens present. There are none. And 13, I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are now adjourned.